So it's 10:02. We have a quorum. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. If you would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Pinkley,
Here.
Williams,
Here.
Stepp, McBratney,
Here.
Milton,
Here.
Lucas,
Yeah, what do you want?
and Cooper. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. So on the agenda, we have the approval of the Finance Committee minutes from January 23rd, 25. I'll entertain a motion to approve or discuss changes.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Move on to the 2025 quarterly one financials.
Can you get this PowerPoint up?
Morning, Allison.
Good morning. Today we'll present the 2025 quarter one financials. This graph compares the first quarter general fund revenues and expenditures over the last 3 years. General fund year-to-date revenues are $8,937,824. This is an increase of 1.6% when compared to quarter one of 2024. General fund expenditures are $5,781,421. General fund expenses are 1.8% less than quarter one of 2024. These graphs show the general fund year-to-date revenues and expenses against the 2025 budget. 25% of the budget year has passed, and we have collected 33% of budgeted revenues and expended 22% of budgeted expenses. The tourism fund quarter one revenues are $2,945,121. This is an increase of $128,383 over quarter one of 2024. Tourism fund quarter one expenses are $578,179. Here's the graph that compares our year-to-date revenue and expenses to our remaining budget. In quarter one, we collected 16% of budgeted revenues, and quarter one is our slowest month of revenue collections, and we see this revenue increase in our third quarter. So that's why we're 25% done with the year, but we're only collecting 16% of revenue because January through March are slower months than the rest of the year. We have expended 3% of budgeted expenditures for our tourism fund. Quarter one revenues for transportation have increased 1.6% when compared to quarter one of 2024. Quarter one expenditures and transfers out have decreased by 4% when compared to quarter one of 2024. Here's the remaining budget amounts for the transportation fund. We have collected 24% of budgeted revenues and expended 19% of budgeted expenses for the transportation fund. This graph compares quarter one public safety revenues and expenditures over the last 3 years. Quarter one revenues are 6.7% greater than quarter one of 2024. Quarter one expenditures and transfers out have decreased when compared to quarter one of 2024. This decrease is due to capital project transfers that were in 2024, since we had a lot of big capital projects going on in the beginning of last year, and that's why we've seen that huge decrease in expenditures. Here's the remaining budget amounts. We have collected 26% of budgeted revenues and expended 20% of budgeted expenses in the public safety fund. Here's the water and sewer fund for quarter one of 2025. Quarter one utility revenue is $2,714,407. This is a $254,000 increase over quarter one of 2024. Expenses decreased by $86,000 when compared to 2024, and then here is our remaining budget amounts for water and sewer. We have collected 23% of budgeted revenues and expended 12% of budgeted expenditures. Historically, we see an increase in revenue collections in the third and fourth quarter, kind of like the other funds that I stated. January through March are our slower months, with the middle of the year picking everything back up for revenue collections. Here's our Parks and Recreation Fund, including transfers in and out. Parks and Rec quarter one revenues are $757,900. This is a 25% increase when compared to quarter one of 2024. And quarter one expenses are 13% less than quarter one of 2024. And then here's our remaining budget amounts for revenue and expenditures. We have collected 17% of budgeted revenues and expended 9% of budgeted expenses. And we see parks revenue increase in the third quarter as well. And then here's our tourism tax by class. So you can see the first graph there shows our amusement, and this is just quarter one of each of the last 3 years. So for amusement, tourism tax has increased 28.6% over this time last year. We have seen a 0.6% decrease in theater tax collections over 2024 of quarter one. Hotels and motel tourism tax has increased 3% over quarter one of last year. Campground quarter one tourism tax has decreased when compared to quarter one of 2024. Short-term rental tourism tax has increased 7.7% over quarter one of 2024, and restaurant and concession tourism tax has increased 7.1% over this time last year. And here are our sales tax collections for our half-cent public safety, half-a-cent transportation, and our unrestricted 1% of the city sales tax. So unrestricted sales tax for quarter one of 2025 is 3% greater than quarter one of 2024. Quarter one public safety sales tax revenue is $7,730 greater than quarter one of 2024. And our transportation sales tax revenue is $15,000 more than quarter one of 2024.
Excuse me, Allison, would you, at our next meeting, would you take a look at the public safety tax compared to the transportation tax? Those should be...
They should be the exact same, so yes, we need to take a look at that. And as I was doing these graphs, like, since they're both half-a-cent sales tax and should be collected everywhere, those should be like the exact same numbers with like a few rounding variances on those.
Yeah.
So I'll take a look at that and see like if we're missing half a cent from anything on any like businesses that aren't contributing that for some reason or anything like that, or where the discounts are being taken, because I did notice that I was like, for both of those being a half a cent, there is a bigger variance than we would like to see.
Thank you.
Are there any questions about the quarter one 2025 financials?
Any members, any questions?
One of the observations that I have, and I know it's talked about a lot, is it's encouraging to see continued growth despite other things that are going on with the economy. But the more we can do to round out this dead zone, the 12-month economy, there's a lot of things coming down the pipe that I think are going to help round that off. So it's encouraging to see without those things that we're still staying above with our head in the water, treading, if you will, but we're moving forward. And so I guess I'm just encouraged to say that we're continuing to close that gap.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Obviously, we all know that quarter one, because of seasons, has always been our lowest collection quarter. Wasn't that long ago, and it was close to zero. But we do have some things that are addressing that that we'll be talking about hopefully in the next few weeks, maybe.
Are there any other questions? If there are no questions, we can move on to the third item on the agenda.
Which is reviewing and acknowledging disbursements over $45,000 for the first quarter. Has everybody had a chance to look at these prior to the meeting? Any questions on any of these expenses? Yes.
I had one question. I was just curious if you know what the annual fountain maintenance fee is.
I am unsure of the annual fountain maintenance fee, the gross total that we expended for last year. We do have a contract to not go over a certain dollar threshold, and I can bring that number to the next meeting.
Well, I just didn't know if it was tied specifically to the TIF or what the expenditure, because we've got 2 charges in February and 1 in March, and I was just curious.
Yeah, so that's all when they open the fountain and request those funds for maintenance. We usually do see 2 charges around that time of year, just because they're maintaining after all winter and everything and it being down. We don't see charges in January or at the end of December, and so they catch back up with maintenance in February and March.
Yeah, and I agree. I recall there's a not to exceed amount. Yeah, so we'll have that at the next meeting. Good question.
I can do that.
And one more on the, on Elevate Branson, on that 607, 607,000, are those CDBG funds that we're passing through?
Yeah, Elevate Branson is CDBG funding.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? You good, Allison?
Yep.
So the next topic, I don't know that we need to cover. That was a tongue-in-cheek for those listening online. It's our Branson Convention Center incentive review.
So each year, the Finance Committee reviews the performance of the management company for the convention center. An annual incentive fee is provided upon the attainment of 6 weighted performance criteria. The 6 weighted performance criteria are customer and client satisfaction, weighing 20%, completion of goals and objectives, weighing 20%, improved operating financial conditions, weighing 20%, responsiveness, which is 10%, and ingenuity and creativity for 20%, and feedback from the chamber and hotel group, which accounts for 10%. The maximum incentive fee for 2025 is $159,084. Do we have any questions about those individual breakouts and where they were on their performance? I know that that was included in the staff packet, but if you guys have any questions, I do have Angie here to answer that performance evaluation for any questions that you might have.
Has everybody on the board had an opportunity to review? We had detailed information from all of these 6 different weighted factors and the responses and the input. So what I heard you, the $159,000 figure is their maximum,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
And based on your calculations, that's what their bonus comes up to.
Yes.
Wow. Couldn't find anything wrong, not one.
They improved over last year, and we do have those reviews in the staff packet. It was Exhibit 2, and we can pull that up if you guys want to review them, but they did do a great job this year and came in with financials and everything. They're doing a really good job in improving everything over prior years, and so then we usually grant them the 100% of everything with the feedback because they increase their scores and are doing a good job from their peer reviewers.
I will share my opinion. Did you ask a question, Artie?
Who determines the percentages that they increase?
That was weighted, that was prearranged agreement with their contract. When we signed the contract, we said if you achieve these things, here's the bonus that you can earn. So my personal experience with attending many events at the convention center, the cleanliness, the professionalism, the quality of food, everything that I would look at if I was traveling to a convention center in another location, I'm just tickled. I am absolutely blown away at the quality and the caliber of our convention center. And then couple that with last year's performance numbers, and we're still working on it because we have a ways to go. was a negative $16,000. And for those of you that have been with us for many years, that number was at around $1 million that came out of our general fund that we use for payroll, police, all of our expenses. We were taking $1 million, 800,000, 600,000 out of our general fund to subsidize our convention center. Now, we still have 16,000 to go, and I'm saying that very tongue-in-cheek. So the caliber of physically what we have and the economic results, in my opinion, speak for themselves. When I went through these, every one of these ratings, if they didn't receive 100%, I would have been disappointed. I would have really asked, what in the world could we ask them to do that they're not doing? Many convention centers nationwide is a lost leader for their community. They spend millions of dollars to build a convention center, to bring in enough visitors for an economic impact for all the businesses within that community. And most communities are willing to subsidize their convention center because of the greater good it does for those businesses. And to have a convention center that last year had a $70 million economic impact, which means $70 million of funds spending went to our local businesses because we have a convention center that isn't costing us any money, is by far the exception to the rule. That's one person's opinion. Any other board members have any comments?
I'd just like to echo that I agree with everything the mayor just said, and really there's not a lot more to say because it's just the catalyst for the economic progress that Branson has seen since it was originally built. The money that we ended up spending out of the general fund years ago, it's taken this long to get to this point, but never was it ever designed to be a moneymaker. It's not for that. It's for economic development, and we're seeing that. So with that, I just move forward and recommend the full amount of $159,084.12.
No, great job. One of the things I appreciate is the follow-through. Last year, we talked about the criteria, and I believe the comment, or the one area in question was the feedback from the hotel, I believe. And so I'm encouraged to see that you guys were able to work that out. Thank you for doing that. And again, I'm excited because most communities don't operate as fiscally well as we do, and then the economic impact affects everybody. I don't think people really think about that. When people are coming to your events in that building, that's not the single thing that they're doing in town, just in layman's terms for those listening in. So we're grateful for a great convention center.
So I will accept a motion to recommend a specific dollar amount as their bonus for this year.
I move to award the full incentive as annotated in the submittals from the staff.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Angie, thank you very, very much. Okay, as promised, we'll start at the beginning. Can I get a roll call vote, please? Kathy, just to catch you up real quick, we went through the quarterly finances, the disbursements. approved the minutes, and we just now voted unanimously to award the convention center the 100% of their bonus.
Outstanding. Outstanding. You didn't need me.
Well, no, because the next item is, would you like to make a motion to adjourn?
Is that really what it is?
I promise I didn't talk that fast today. I slowed down a little bit.
No, she didn't,
A
no.
little bit.
To her credit, she's doing phenomenal. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, you, great job.
Yeah, so moved.
Can I make one parting?
You bet. you
Awesome.
bet.
I think it's important. So, thank you again to the community for respecting the value of the transportation tax. I think sometimes we take that for granted, and knowing statistically we don't get a lot of involvement on municipal elections. So, thank you for accepting the challenge to get out and support that vital economic engine for the community and keeping our roadways and walkways safe for residents and guests.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. In fact, that vote just reassures to me and this board that nobody likes to pay taxes, right? But our community seems to appreciate and respect how their tax dollars are being spent, right? When there's waste and abuse, nobody wants to contribute to that. When their dollars are being spent efficiently, and in my opinion, very frugally, since I've been elected official, the accountability to our residents, our transparency, showing them where all of our dollars are going, just gives them more assurance of approving the taxes that really benefit everybody. So thank you for saying that.
Absolutely. Again, it's 2 decades of impact to this community. It's already got a tested record as it was campaigned, but 20 more years of solid performance is what's coming, so I'm excited as a resident.
Yep. Any other comments before we adjourn? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.